The fuel pump is a critical part of every car and one that is frequently thrown at the vehicle by DIYers and mechanics, even when it's not the cause of the problem at hand. Today I'll be discussing symptoms that you can look out for to confirm if your fuel pump is going bad. The moral of this video is don't join those who just throw a fuel pump at the car because they are experiencing a drivability issue or a no start. Now let's get this. Fuel pumps, like many other parts in the car, usually don't fail all of a sudden. Total failure is normally preceded by symptoms of insufficient fuel supply to the fuel injectors. Because of this, one of the earliest symptoms you would experience if your fuel pump is going out is a lack of power during acceleration, especially when you want to push the car really hard. This is because the fuel pump is unable to keep up with the increased demand of fuel needed to deliver the sudden burst of power. This may also become apparent when you try to ascend an incline, like going up a hill, or when you attempt to tow another vehicle. Note that a clogged catalytic converter may also present with this symptom. This is why when troubleshooting any problem, you need to take other symptoms into account and finally run some diagnostic tests as required. Secondly, you may experience surging or jerking when driving at speed. This happens because of the inconsistent supply of fuel, leading to an inability of the fuel pressure regulator to maintain the right fuel pressure for the engine load. Therefore, the car sputters due to the insufficient fuel supply. Thirdly, as the fuel pump deteriorates further, you now begin to experience symptoms even at idle. This will include misfires and the engine running rough. The reason for this is not far-fetched. It's basically due to the air-fuel mixture going lean, and the combustion process now has less fuel in comparison to the volume of air. The fourth symptom you may have is a check engine light. Similar to the last point, the check engine light may be as a result of lean codes such as P0171 or P0174. On newer cars with a fuel pressure sensor, you may also have codes like P0087 or the P0231 or P0232. These last three codes point to an issue either in fuel pressure or in the fuel pump circuit. Note that on older cars, you may actually have no codes despite the fact that the car may run severely rough. 5. Engine stalling. This is another common sign of a failing fuel pump and stems from the fact that the air-fuel mixture is so out of balance that it is unable to sustain combustion, so the engine dies. The sixth major symptom you may experience is a difficulty in starting the car or the car refusing to start. Starting a car places a lot of demand on the fuel pump, so it's no surprise seeing this as one symptom. Of course, when the fuel pump finally gives way, the car will not start at all. Now we've run through all these major symptoms, it's probably a good time to subscribe to the channel. However, the problem is that a lot of these symptoms can be caused by other things. Although if you have those specific codes for the fuel pressure, your troubleshooting is halfway and you should be able to narrow down to the cause. If you don't have any codes, this is where diagnostics come into play. You'll want to listen for the classic sound that the fuel pump makes each time that you turn on the ignition. Check the fuel pump fuse and relay if this sound is not present. You also want to do a fuel pressure test at this point. Every fuel pump works within a certain pressure range, and if your fuel pressure is reading higher than the reference, it's usually down to a failing fuel pressure regulator or a restriction in the fuel return line. However, if the pressure is lower, it could be from the pump itself or from a clogged fuel filter. The good thing is that even if you don't have a fuel pressure gauge, using a basic scanner, even the type you connect to your phone, can actually diagnose fuel pressure issues using just fuel trim data. Also, in some cars, you may be able to do an active test on the fuel pump itself if you have a bidirectional scanner or an active scan tool. For the video on how to use fuel trim data for diagnosis, you can click here, and for videos on how to either check the fuel pump pressure or test the fuel pump itself using just a scanner, feel free to click on any of these two videos. Catch you on the next one.